Hey guys, welcome back to Exit 45. Today we're going to do a video that shows the installation from start to finish of the classic auto air system into the 64 Thunderbird. I'm not doing this from start to finish. That's being pulled from probably about 5 or 6 different videos, and I'm putting them all into one. So anybody out there who's looking to do this has it all in one place for them. All right, so let's start here. This is the new system. So I'm going from just heat to heat and AC. So this whole new system is going to go in. When it comes in box, this piece here is not on there. You just see right here. You just slide that on here. I got 4 screws that will screw that in. So I got that kind of figured out. As far as this goes, and you have some mounting points here and right here that we'll deal with here when we get ready to slide that in. We've got some new hardware that came with it, and then of course our instructions. So really, I mean, I'm just trying to go through this and figure out, since the car is completely, tore apart, how far did I already get in the instructions, because it's tore apart. So it looks like I pick up with the instructions somewhere in this area. We're going to take in, we're not going to use these defroster tubes anymore. Those are going away. So this is about the point in the instructions where we remove the heater box. So then you get here, and then the fresh air opening that's up underneath the I'll show you. They got a block off plate for that. Let's go on over here to the Thunderbird. Up under here, there you go. You see that opening right there? So they got a plate to block that off as well. Yeah, there it is. There it is. It's just got the 4 holes drilled in it that line up underneath there, or I think actually it's got some Tech screws, and you just zip that up in there. All right, guys, let's see if we can get this in. All right. There's one. There's 4. Okay, just for some reference, we're on the passenger side here, and swing up underneath, and there it is. So we're just blocking off that fresh air vent that the old heater box went to. All right, so right here, this cover that was on here, right here, for your fan motor, well, that's no longer going to be where the fan is. This is where your lines are going to start to come out for your heater and your AC. And the kit comes with this template, and I'll need to cut, this is for your heater lines and for your AC lines. So I need to get these holes put in this so that that's ready to go. Okay, let's get a few holes put in this thing. I've already got my pilot holes drilled for these, so I should just be able to drill them out. What's doing all the smoking? 2. All right, I got to change bits. Okay, 2 left. I got this one here, which is 1 1/16", and then I've got this one, which will be the last one. which is the smaller one at 3/4. So, and let's make sure I got this right. Okay, 2 more makes 4. All right, so bring you guys in here for a minute. I've run into my first problem working on getting the heater box up installed into the firewall. And the mounting points on this new one are not the same as the old one. So there's only going to use this 1 point here that goes through the firewall instead of 4. So you have this one, you have the original right here that goes up to this bracket here, and then you have this one down in here that will go up to the dash once the dash is in. Problem I have is the distance between this mounting point and this mounting point, you know, the firewall. They're not the same. They're on the new box. It's shorter distance from this one to this one here. So I think what I'm going to do is take this bracket here, just held on by a couple of screws, and I'm going to bend this bracket this way a little bit to get my distance, and then I'll bend this piece back up so it's at the same plane it is now. And then that will get me my distance to be able to use those holes. I don't want to drill a hole back here because then I'm getting into where that plate mounts on the other side. So I got to be careful there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So let me get this off of here. I'll make a couple of bends, and we'll see if it lines up then. But aftermarket, this is what you do. All right, there you go. You can see I've got the box in. It's loose installed. There's the one bolt that's holding it in there. And then I got it bolted here. This one here will go to the dash when that goes in. I'm going to point down in here, but I'm not sure if you can see. Yeah, right there. You can see the little nub coming out. That's your water case drain. And so I've got to drill a hole down in here for the drain line. And so as you're going through the directions, it says to put this in, and then it says to drill your hole right where that's at. So I'm going to drill the hole while I can see where it lines up down here. And then I got to pull all this back out so I can cut the hole in the firewall insulation pad. And then I can put my drain tube on there and then slide the whole thing back in and bring that out the drain line. All right, so we're back in, and then I just get there. Now I got both my heater hoses out. That was crunched in there, but you can see I got my water drain line run through here, and then I'll figure out, you know, how much I need, whether that can just stay long or I want to cut it off. I don't know. But that hole lined up perfectly in there to that, and so I'm taking credit for that. It was just a good guess, but I'm still taking credit. Anyways, we got all the holes. Everything's good. We should have the kit comes, I think, with plugs for these holes that we're not using anymore. And then this is in. I may try to work on some of the electrical harness that comes with it and start maybe getting some of that set. I think we're good, guys. Before I close the that area up, I'm trying to figure out how my harnesses are going to go from inside the car to the outside of the car. Where does my control module need to be mounted? And, you know, how long are my harnesses? Okay, so this is the box inside, the evaporator box. Well, you know, the evaporator's inside of there. This wire, or these harnesses stay inside. This stays inside. This one, just this one, the black harness, So the black harness on this bundle here, that goes to the outside. Where are we at? Right there. So that goes to the outside to the heater valve, which will go right here. So that's a short distance from there. So that works. And then the other harness that goes from the inside to the outside is this harness, and that will have no problem going to the outside, and you can see it's fairly long. And that will need to go, part of it goes into the evaporator inside, and then you need to send one part here out to an ignition source, or into it. I just have to find an ignition source, probably off of the fuse box. I should be able to find it there. And then this wire here goes to there. So actually most of this stays inside. So there you go. I just answered all my own questions. So very little of this actually goes through the firewall. Most of it stays inside. All right. Okay, so let me just show you where we're at. So you can see here, I got the control module. I figure I'll mount that probably right about there. That'll be easy to get to, even with the dash on. So if I need to do anything with it, it's right there. And now I'm just hooking up all the parts and sending the wires that go into the engine bay out the of the opening. So, and that wire is plenty long enough to get to a power source and to the battery ground. So, anyway, I just wanted to kind of bring you in, show you where we're at. So I just got a few connections here to make. Mount the relay switch. Do nothing with this because it doesn't even show it on the diagram. So that's just tuck that up there for now in case I need it later. Anyway, once I get this all tightened up, now that I have a pretty good idea where it's at, you can see I just ran the power for the fan up through this loop, and it's going out the firewall back there. And then the other end of it comes down here and is right here, is plugged into the control module. So there you go. So I'll just be hooking up the thermostat switch and then the two servos. Right there's one, and then the other one is over there. Okay guys, let me get this and then I'll bring it in when I got it done. Well guys, I think I may have this resolved. So let me get where I can show you what's going on. All right. So I've got the servos for the air vents plugged in. And remember we talked about this blue line. It doesn't show up anywhere on their wire diagram. And then the yellow one does. And it goes to this servo. And then there's another servo. So I didn't know where the wire or the connector was for that. And then I realized that the connector on the blue wire and the yellow wire are the same. And then I'm like, well, how do I know which one goes where? There's two servos and it doesn't say which goes where. And I couldn't see the other side of that servo right there. And if you look on the other side, it's got a blue sticker that tells you what it controls. And this one has a yellow sticker. So I figured it out. Anyways, I've been really struggling with this whole thing, trying to figure out where to mount this. The controller, because I was going to mount it up underneath here on the firewall where I could, make sure I could get to it, because it's got some capabilities and different things you're going to have to do. I think this is like you do the rigging on it with this thing. It flashes lights and tells you things. So I wanted to be able to get to it when that dash is on. So I'm probably gonna mount it right here. Probably gonna stick it with some two-sided tape or something. I don't feel real comfortable drilling into the plastic. I'd hate to hit the condenser in there. Anyway, so that's that. This harness here, I was able to route that up through here, plug it into I was able to come up here, route it through here, plug it into the fan. So now that we have the power to the fan. And then this was the biggest problem right here, was this thermostat and these servos, because I only had so much reach, if you look, between the servos, these yellow and blue, and then this blue wire here that runs up to the thermostat. I could only get them so far apart. And so you can see I can't go any further this way because I'm too tight then with that. If I went too far this way, I was going to try and maybe mount it up here, but then I can't get this on there. So this seems to be about the only place I can put it that works. So I was able to get a rubber grommet around there so we don't cut any wires. I've got my cap on, you saw that. I've got my water shut-off valve. This is turned and going to go up. I think this goes up to the manifold, and then this side here goes to the pump, one of them. And then you can see I've got that plugged in. So the only thing left to do now will be, I got to get these wires, you know, find a keyed source here and battery ground. And then this white wire needs to go to the pressure switch, which we won't be putting in for a while. So, but either way, purple wire goes into the exact same port as this on the other end, so they're the same. I don't know why there's two wires, but the wire diagram doesn't even show the purple, so I pulled it out and stuffed it out here anyways, and I'll just bundle it up and tape it if we don't need it. No big deal. Okay, so you can see here what we got is the temperature selector and the fan selector. With the new AC kit that we got, this is coming off. We don't need that anymore. They got new ones, so that's good. Yeah, so I think that's where we're at. That's where I'm at on the instructions. So we need to pull this off, and then this is their system, and we will get that installed. Okay, so I got the new fan speed switch installed. The old one has been removed. Out with the old and in with the new. Okay, so if I understand this correctly, these will now go on to these here, and we'll convert a mechanical signal to an electrical signal. So mode control and temp control. So we got to make sure we get them on the right one. Let me go through all this, and then I'll show you what I got when I'm done. Well, there we go. So we have successfully mounted our servos. Well, these aren't the servos. These are the electrical input that will control the servos on the heater box. So you can just see here that these are just taking that mechanical leverage and turning it into an electrical input. So we were able to get the dash in. So that's a big step. So I'm really happy about that. Everything looks like it's going really well so far. I've got the center console in, and I'm starting to populate it because I want to make sure that all my harnesses are where they need to be. You know, everything I need to plug in has a place to plug in, everything fits, and all of that. So aftermarket is always going to be an issue. If you look here and you see, well, here, let me get you into a little bit better position. So we'll look at it from this perspective, and you can see here, look where that's running into. It's running into the tunnel, the transmission tunnel. I can't put it in. So that's why I have the radio in. I was really wanting to see how much room I had, you know, for these to go. So that's kind of my puzzle I need to solve right now. I think it's going to end up having to be bent you know, at some point, just kind of bend it this way and then let it ride alongside, you know, here and here, but not interfere with anything else. And that seems to be my only solution at this point. I don't know what else I can do to it. So I would probably have to find somewhere along this bracket here where I could bend it a little bit this way to get all this to move enough so that it rides alongside the transmission tunnel and not trying to land on top of it. Well, here's what I come up with. After putting it in there, I cut this piece right here. This piece right here. I cut that off from here, and then I welded this piece in. It's really mostly just tacked right now, but what it did was it changed that angle that I needed to change to get these to lie on the side of the transmission tunnel, not on top of it. So I'm letting this cool. It's hot still, but then I'm going to put these back on, and then we'll do a test fit. And if it looks good, then I'll weld this thing up. The good thing, what I had to do is in order to maintain this direction right here with these, because these move, you know, relatively like this. And what was happening when I just tried to turn it, that cable was bowing. I had to maintain this angle as well. So I had to separate this and this, and then I had to build a piece in between that not only turned the angle, but it also brought this piece this way so it lined back up with this. So it took a bit of work. I'm hopeful. We'll put it in. Those will lay where they need to lay, and this will then work. So yeah, it's a lot of work for supposed to be a bolt-on kit. Clearly, they never tried this part out because there's no way it works. So, all right, there you go. You can see here, I got it all put back together. And now this sets in there like it's supposed to. And then when you come over here, you can see that those now are redirected off to the side of the transmission tunnel. And everything still works. So I think we're okay. Okay. All right, so the next step in this process is, I don't even know what this is called. I am not an AC guy. Okay, so the next step in the process is getting this condenser mounted. And just looking over here on the car, it looks like there's already going to be an issue because we're custom on this one. And this radiator, instead of being up in here where it would actually be, this surface here would be back up in here, flush with, you know, with this. We're sticking out a good 2 inches. So what we have to figure out now is, here's our bumper holes for mounting the bumper. We're gonna have to measure that bumper to see how much room we have between it and this radiator and make sure we're gonna be able to get that condenser in here. That ought to be fun. All right, so we're gonna take a few measurements here. We're gonna go check the bumper with them, and then we'll let you know. All right, so we've gone through and took some measurements, and so far everything looks like we're gonna be just fine. So you come over here to the bench, and we go to the instructions, and we're told we want to go ahead and get our mounting brackets installed. And we already know that these are probably not going to work because we didn't mount the traditional way on these Thunderbirds. So we're going to have to either do some bending on these or something. But for now, I think we're going to go ahead and put them where they say so that we can see what we need to do. But you got to have 2 like this on either side. There's another one. And then you're supposed to flip it over, and then these will go like that on either side. And so we're going to go ahead and put all those on, and then we're going to take it over to the car and then see how bad it is, and then we'll figure out what needs to be changed. But if you have a standard Thunderbird, it hasn't been modified, you know, I want you to see, you know, how this is done. So, you know, this is how you would do it. You're going to follow these instructions. You're going to put this bracket on here, that one, just like I just showed you. I'm going to do the same thing so you can see that, but then on mine, my actual install it to the car will be different because I'm a custom situation under the hood. So okay, and it comes with these really small, you know, little screws, because there's a tube that runs up inside here you don't want to puncture, so don't use your own hardware on this. Okay, we got those 2 brackets on. Then the directions say to take this and flip it over, and then we'll put the other brackets on this side, and then they face going down that way. So all right, I'm going to show you real quick. There's that tube I was telling you about that runs up inside of this. So you have to be real careful. All right, so we figured out we can slide this from the top down on our build. A little tight at first, but it will go down in there. And then, looks like if we set right here, we just let it hang on the radiator, it's pretty much where we want it. So I think what we're going to do up here is, I think we're thinking about taking and weld another bracket that goes on over here and then up here, and then we can screw that to this, and we'll do the same on both sides. We can do the same on both sides. So I think that can solve our mounting on the top side. And then when you go down here, this bracket crosses over this flange here, and we can run another screw on both sides with a spacer between this and this, because this can't be that tight, so that we can get our tubes on here. So we'll have to play a little bit with the spacing, but I think we got it. I think this is going to work. So we're gonna have to put some tubes on here, and then position this where both the tubes that come off of this condenser will fit where they're supposed to go. We also had to make sure we put the this first line on here. That's going to come off of the top side of the condenser, and then it goes right here. Our dryer is going to sit right in here. So, you know, right in this area. This will connect to the dryer, and then your pressure switch will go right here. And then all the wiring for your pressure switch is right here on the compressor. So this fits perfectly. You know, we just need to make sure when we do this, you pull out and give you a better overall view. But when we do this, we just got to make sure we move this condenser side to side where we need it, so that all of these lines that come out of here on either side are where we need them. All right, just back out in the shop. It's been down with a cold, so just trying to get back out here. So anyways, I came across this bracket out in my pile, and it looks like I might be able to pull something that I need to make the bracket that's going to go finish the way up to here on both sides to bolt it in. All right, so I got these all set, marked where I can weld them. And, you know, they're not the prettiest things in the world, but they don't have to be, because they're not going to be seen. Just put a weld across here, and same here. I can go around like that. Well, there you go. Looks like we're going to be in business. All right, brackets are all done, and I'm going to go ahead and start securing this line. And I got a clamp here for it, and I'm just going to drill out here through the bracket, and I'm just going to use a little 1/4-20 bolt and nut. So let me get this drilled out. Alright, we'll put our lock washer and nut on there, and it's going to be a lot tighter fit than I thought. Okay, well, there you go, guys. Clamps on, that line's in, that should slide in with it. And I'm going to go ahead and put the pressure switch on here as well. So let me go get that. There's our pressure switch. Go ahead and get that installed. I think this is going to be a little bit more difficult to try and do this in the car, so let's get it done now. All right, there's a O-ring on there as well, so make sure if you're using this kit, make sure that O-ring's on there. Okay, so I need to space this. I've already secured this other side over here with a spacer, but I need to space this out so I have room to put my line here. And I've just got some of these, I don't even know what you call them, but nylon, I suppose, spacers that I had just sitting around. I'm going to go ahead and then run a self-tapper right through there, and we'll have the radiator secured. All right, and we'll just put our spacer in here. There we go. There we go. We are installed. All right, back out here. So we've done everything up to this point, and so they want us to locate the dryer, the mounting bracket, the pressure switch, and then the 2 lines that go on all of that. And that is this setup right here. So the dryer, there's a bracket that mounts it. There's this line, which we've already got in. And then there's this short line that comes up and sneaks out the front. And then there's this longer line that comes down and hooks to the bottom of the condenser. So we got our O-ring on here, got it lubed. And just let's get O-rings. And they gave a little bit of a lube for them. So we'll... All right, we got the dryer. Well, guys, it doesn't say one way or the other on this, so I'm guessing this is a bi dryer. You know, goes both ways. All right, let's see what we got. And then this is our mounting bracket for it. And that will slide, if I can get it. Come on. Wow. Horn out of the way. There we go. Ow. Well, here we are, guys. So, we went away from these really shorties here because they're just too short to get through the 2 thicknesses of metal on here and to get any bite into the condenser. And what we did was we hooked all the tubes up. So what we had to do is I got some longer screws, and we were able to make sure that they stayed away from the tube right here. And then we just pushed this whole system as far as we could get it over and get into those holes. I think I'm going to go ahead now, tighten those 3 up. I also went ahead and got the pressure switch installed so I can start working on the wiring for that. All right, well, there you go. The dryer is in. I'm just going to snug up those lines. Okay, so we got this tube here that needs to go on, and that is going to go, let me find it. Right. Okay, so right there is the top of the condenser, and then there we go. This is just going to go down and into there, and then it'll go right onto there, and then it comes right out here. All right, let's just start underneath here. All this is in now and tight. And then if you come up here, we've got the switch down there. You see we got it wired in. It goes off to this is the switch wire, which goes off to the computer and then to the compressor. Routes here. And then cap goes on. Just like that. And then if you look here, we got a clamp that I put in right there. That will snap into. We got this bracket in here and got a clamp on here, so this tube's clamped and held. So we got all of the tubes in and the lines here, so let's just walk through the routing. It's not terrible. I was thinking it was going to be a lot worse than it is. Anyway, you got your first line that goes from this line here that comes straight off of the condenser. Goes up to the compressor. Just a little short run. Nothing unusual about that. Then you got the other side comes off here. And this one here kind of was, took us a while to kind of figure out how we wanted to route it. But, you know, we got this brass bracket that's going to go here with this brace. So once we put that on, that will tuck up underneath it and stay away from our linkage over here. That was kind of a problem. We couldn't shoot it down there or around there. It kept getting in the way of the linkage. Anyway, so we got this figured out. I think we got a good solution there. This will be tucked up and hidden, you know, a good portion of the way, about halfway down. Then it kind of, it'll come out. But all in all, that's not bad. And then on this side, this line comes off, and it really does well and meets up with the heater core lines. Comes in, darts down up underneath, and tightens up here. So all in all, it did not add to the clutter of the engine bay as near as bad as I thought it would. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get all of these lines tightened up, and then when we get it all done, I'll give you guys a last peek, and we'll call this done. All right, we're done here for the day. All the lines have their O-rings. They've been tightened down. So the system is essentially installed. And all I have to do is, when I tighten up the engine bay area, you know, and get it all routed and looking nice, all this will be a part of that as far as the final, getting all that, you know, tied up and routed where I want it. So that is the conclusion of the AC. It's in. I got to go take it down and get it charged once I get this on the road. And we'll make sure we don't have any leaks at that point. Anyway, there you go. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. So, you know, we've seen it. We've got it installed. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Maybe helped you guys. I'm not sure. Whatever. But either way, I'll see you guys on the next video when we get back on, you know, moving forward on this, you know, in real time. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.